Hey, Chris.
How's it going, James?
Hey, good. How's life?
Life is good.
Good, good. I hope things are going well for you post Red Hat.
Yeah, you know, a lot of restarting again kind of things.
Whoa. All right, you got really garbled.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey guys. A little bit funny for me today. I'm at a conference over here.
James got like machine gun and keyboard.
Sorry, I'll mute. I'm trying out a new smart speakerphone thing, and it's not too
that smart. Not smart enough.
Barely smart.
Hey, I wonder what's going on today. Usually if you have famous people joining in, something is going on. And today we have Chris here.
Yeah, so I am embracing from the developer advocate perspective GitOps. So that is why I'm here today.
You're getting the ops.
Getting all the ops.
Get every single ops.
Every last one committed.
Yep. Committed.
Just don't subvert them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible.
So let's give people some minutes to join. As always, I think we're a bit short on the agenda, which is mostly updates from the working groups today. Somebody kindly already added me. That's very nice.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know your companies, all of them, but I did add your.
Yeah, that's just waiting for the other co-chairs and some people I will see to jump in here. That's the nice thing about these meetings, right? And Chris, I have been following you on Twitter forever, but I think we never ever talked or have even met in person. So that's...
I talk to him all the time. Why aren't you talking to?
I don't know.
Yeah, like you can totally yell at me on Twitter. I'll answer back.
No, I try to be nice on Twitter and in person. And right now, just love sharing the potato head commit messages. I think they're the most hilarious thing that comes out there. Fixing the right arm because it was broken. I mean, this is one of the best commit messages ever. Okay, let me just ping the other coaches whether they want to join in us on some of the working group announcements as well today. I mean, I'm totally comfortable running this myself otherwise as well, but let's see whether they want to join. Okay, Jennifer was just asking.
Hi there.
There she is.
Me?
Yeah, we didn't do a good job on the agenda this time. I think it's overall updates from the individual working groups, and I think we should announce, especially the cooperative delivery working group topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have updated the agenda with some stuff, but I was kind of I've been at the conference. It's conference now. Now we can do conferences. So I've been outside.
Do your conferencing.
You mean outside of that room to record
Yes.
this video somewhere else, or outside of your like?
I've been
house?
somewhere else, both today and yesterday.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So conference galore, 2 in a row.
Wow.
So like the real world now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met people.
Yeah.
You're out there.
I met some Dynatrace people over here, actually. This thing
Really? They're
I'm
everywhere.
chatting about Captain.
Yeah, on the agenda, it's really working group updates. I think one other topic, as we have people here from GitOps, we and by we, I actually mean the great Alex Jones has hopefully fixed your GitHub right so that you should be able to commit now to the repo as well. was I think mostly a request from Josh, but it should be working for you right now.
Okay.
What we did, you should be able to submit PRs. It's just weird to add non-co-chairs as being giving them right access to repos. I mean, they should still be able to submit PRs. It's just a bit harder to keep it in line there. So it shouldn't be too much of a burden for you to manage this. But the way we set it up right now on your subdirector, you really should be able to submit now.
Cool. Thank
If
you.
it doesn't work, just ping us. But that should, I think Alex fixed this yesterday. And yeah, thanks for moving the content over. And we have it all in one place.
Nice.
On that topic, I just wanted to mention, you guys did give me commit rights in the Potato Head repo, and I've been working with the PRs there. I'm one of the more active folks, I guess. So if other people want to participate more, just, reach out to me and say, like, don't merge or whatever. Make sure we get 2 LGTMs or something. But so far it's been going smoothly. I just wanted to.
Yeah, thanks for the work on Potato Head. I think we should have here a bit of an update presentation, not today. So I don't want to put you on the spot today. But yeah, I really appreciate the commitment. I mean, the whole way how this project came along is so funny, and the velocity it's kind of getting by more and more people contributing. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, somebody contributed that said they had used it to give a workshop, and they came back in and realized they need to get updated for the multi-service. So that was a good sign. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it was never supposed to be an open source project, and now it's an open source project where actually the maintainer base is kind of moving along nicely. So I think that's good. So maybe for the next meeting, it would be really good to get an update. And also everybody who sees it totally loves the Potato Head.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I also talked to Bridget from the Helm team, and they might also be able to support on the Helm side. I think we should do a better job telling people what we want them.
Bridget Kramot?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I can.
She said I can send her a message.
Friends with her
find somebody on the team. But the good thing is, whenever you show the Potato Head to somebody, they say, "Well, this is really fun."
We need to update. I'm working with Thomas. Like the core code needs a bit of a refactor. I think my Go background.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote this in a late night to have it to show for KubeCon, just to have something to show. I'm pretty sure at this needs a rewrite, so I'm 100% sure it does.
Hey, you know, JavaScript was born in a couple of weeks, right? Like, I mean, Torvalds built Git overnight. Why isn't it good enough? Joking.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think for the next meeting, if we could also ask people where we need contributions and maybe have a list of things where they can contribute would be helpful. I don't want to do like a full separate meeting on the Potato Head because I think there's not that much time there, and this will help us contributions. And as we have the examples, by the way, it's a good idea to also submit this going forward to meetups and share a bit of them, because it's really nice if you want to try out a couple of different app delivery methodologies.
I think there is a cap that needs to be updated. I think it's being added a long time ago. I want to have a go at it, but haven't had the time to update some stuff. So there has been a few releases. Cap controller.
A Kubernetes enhancement proposal?
Carvel.
Carvel, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the way, the interesting thing that I found about this one, which is a problem that's, I think, overall very interesting. How do you test continuous delivery pipelines? Because this is something we eventually would need for the Potato Head, because we need to test the examples, which more or less we need to test continuous delivery pipelines automatically, whether they are delivering continuously. And
yeah, I actually have tests. I couldn't get it to work perfectly in the main repo, but in the forks it runs, and it actually, there's a script that I've been adding to each one that within a KND cluster, kind cluster sets up Flux and deploys and checks that the API is available. There's definitely more work to be done there, but yeah, that we're starting on. It's pretty informal, but we're starting on something like that. I'll share the link here.
Yeah.
Just a small update on the chaos engineering charter. I reached out to tag security, observability, network. Tag security has like come with some feedback, and folks on the working group are looking at, and like tag network like are happy with that. And then observability is going to follow up soon, so should have some. I'll get in contact with TOC for just an approval thingy.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't heard about this before, this is going to be one of the most interesting working groups maybe ever created within the CNCF. Not because of what it's doing, because of its complexity of tags that it is involved in. So when we started with chaos engineering, obviously as the project was part of app delivery, we talked about app delivery, but then they talked about network chaos. So that's how we got tag network involved. Then they talked about security chaos. That's how we got tag security involved. And obviously it doesn't make a lot of sense to run chaos experiments if you don't know where they're running well, and that's how tag observability also get involved. And it's now a working group that is run across 4 tags. And that's why I think it's a bit challenging to get this really off the ground, because we need to get a lot of people on the same page here. But I think overall, it's a great sign that we start these activities where we have this collaboration across multiple tags within the CNCF. And yeah, just takes slightly longer, obviously. But yeah, Jen is all over this, so she's.
Sorry.
You're all over this, so you're getting all people synced on this one.
Yeah, they've been pretty responsive.
Yeah, ideally also, I mean, it's weird, but we have to think of a way of maybe getting this at least one chair type of person from each of the tags. That would make it 4 instead of the usual 3. But it would be good if we have like at least one main person per tag.
Per working group?
For the working group, yeah.
Okay. To like, okay. Yeah, I should attend, but I think their meetings are completely crazy time, like during the night for me. So it's not very easy for anybody.
Yeah. Time zones are weird, unfortunately. But yeah, but that makes sense because it touches so many of the different tags. So I think everyone should be, represented in that context.
Yeah, and I think that also as people split out work, it makes sense because not everybody will be working on all aspects that they're engaged with. I think we just can support the overall team that kicked it off. So that was our discussion as well as the tag chairs, because they wanted just to start the white paper, and then the thing kept growing bigger and bigger and bigger from an organizational point, which again per se is good because it shows that there is interest and there is really required collaboration across a lot of people. But yeah, needs some more work. Good. But we made progress on the cooperative delivery working group.
Well, yes. So we are not great at communicating when stuff happens. So so we agreed to a bi-weekly cadence, and then we don't say to people when we have meetings. So I happen to just drag Scott into Scott Rigby into the meeting because he's interested in that, and he helped with a lot of things, and all the PRs or issues and stuff like that he created is came from that meeting. So we all kind of agree that we need to drive a little bit, have some call to action and yell at people that were in the interested parties list. We haven't done that, obviously. So before the next meeting, which is next week, I plan on trying to spam the Slack with information about the fact that the meeting is going to happen and stuff like that, just to make sure that people are actually aware. And stuff
And
like
by the way, we also
that.
have the YouTube channel, so we should then upload the video later on to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, things like that.
And also spam the mailing list. So I found that what are some, like there's two types of people: those that read mailing lists and those that read Slack channels.
Yeah. I haven't sent anything into the mailing list, so probably should do that.
So you're not spamming people, but I think it just shows up in their work email history.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, there is this very weird trick, which you should not necessarily do on a mailing list, but I've seen some open source projects doing it once you subscribe to their mailing lists, that you also get the invite for the meeting and you don't need to have it on the calendar. Because I sometimes find this kind of challenging.
Yeah. And
the link, because I know that Tecton is doing it, and also I'm not joining all of their meetings. It's super convenient because they push everything to my calendar, so I know it's actually there.
that
Yeah, we had-
does make sense. And I
Yeah.
think the GitOps working group did that as well. Is that why I have a
No, we
lot
did not
oh,
do that.
okay.
We just put it on the public CNCF calendar, and then it changed, and no one went to go update that. So that's why I missed last week's meeting and put in a PR to fix that. Yeah.
And that's why last week's corporate delivery meeting, it wasn't on there, but the next one is.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we just need to clean up a lot of those kind of things. And I think also that's why Scott created a issue about being able to use the CNCF community thing. Or
That is
the events
something
page.
we are working on right now. My problem is right now, and I'm talking to in the chairs working group how to fix this, how to actually update this. Like how to really actually, where do I need to write an update to update that page? But I'm working on figuring out. And my second issue is that I'm kind of existing twice, like not existentially existing twice, but I have two users and two users with different rights. And once this gets fixed within the CNCF, then I should have proper access. So this is currently in motion, and I have this on my to-do list to get them things updated and also share it. What we can do pretty much immediately if we have meeting times that we want to share, at least update it on the GitHub README page where we have just this meeting right now and clean out the other ones.
Yeah, Did I do that in the I can't even remember the last couple of weeks I've been it says the time in the corporate delivery working group, but obviously you need to check that.
Yeah, that's usually what happens to all of us. No.
Question on for the cooperative working group. Have you got any actions with regards to like end user interviews and stuff like that now?
Yeah, we have an action about creating a survey for getting that kind of information. So currently on that point, I'm just gathering questions, which is really hard when we're only like two people. So I got a couple of questions. I'm going to run that by the next meeting, and hopefully there will be more people to come with some inputs, because apparently working 24 hours a day doesn't make my brain work any better, apparently. So
I mean, what do you think would be the, sorry?
So I was just going to ask, where is this conversation happening, or so I can like look as well and contribute.
Yeah, this and that's also like a thing we need to be better at. This has solely been done in the notes for the working group, in the and as well as in the meeting themselves, basically. So, and since no one's there, that doesn't work. So we need to be better at just getting all this information out there, and then be better to update people. Really.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound super smart, but it was kind of helpful what I started to do for a while, but then also this kind of like get dragged away, updating the channels and the mailing list on everything that happened, like at least key findings. that was driving a bit more engagement. I know this is extra work,
Yeah.
but I think it creates more awareness. I think the key for the cooperative delivery working group, and everybody knows that I'm not the biggest fan of the name, but I also couldn't come up with a better one. That's why I was sticking with it.
Mm.
And this is something we were also discussing, maybe having a blog post or anything, what it's actually doing, and also define like a tangible result for people to work on. That's what I saw with a lot of white papers. And I mean, we thank the great team we had on the white paper for the operator, that kind of worked out eventually. But I feel like people sometimes have a hard time motivating themselves for white papers more than, hey, this is a problem I'm actually interested in, and be interested in how people are actually solving it and investing my time there. So, I mean, this is come up with an idea, like what is an immediate problem that you can look at, and maybe then share some updates on how people can actually solve this.
And that's been a thing, because when we're talking about white papers, I've heard horror stories about how long some white papers can take, and everyone involved here is doing it, besides work. So that all of a sudden takes a lot of time. So I totally agree. We need something relatively easy to get to fast, just to get everything rolling, and that's kind of been the topic of every working group meeting so far. But again, it's been back and forth on who's in there, so we kind of just repeat ourselves every time, more or less. So hopefully, if more people come and every time, this will be easier to discuss. And we talked about everything from just having updating potato head with different kind of delivery method that also includes infrastructure, and doing smaller not white papers, but some document patterns somehow, and doing stuff like that. There's more minor. That's not an entire white paper, but we still haven't landed on something very specific. The only thing that's specific that we have is to get out a survey, so we can kind of start gauging where people are at when it comes to both delivering app and infrastructure in the same type of pipeline, and how they coexist.
Yeah, I like the idea actually of having a patterns or like cookbook style type of approach. Because it also encourages people who have solved certain problems. And I remember when we presented it also at KubeCon, we had people think from Splunk and Apple coming over and say, yeah, we exactly have that problem.
Yeah.
And we have built some of these things in the past, and we want to share with others and discuss with others how we're doing it. And it might be just a one pager. I think people usually have time to have a one pager, then present and have a discussion with others. That might be a quick way to get certain things done. And like also Alex, who was initially driving it, and Thomas, I think they have ideas on some things that they have built. And starting out with like very simple examples might be super helpful. It's also shareable, so we can share it over our social channels, get people interested, that they bring in new topics. But everything that sounds like a lot of work, like a white paper.
Yeah.
There, I'm conscious that we are living 2 years through a pandemic, and it's also the end of a very stressful year for a lot of people. They rather hesitate to do that. But if we attack the problem that they have to do in their day jobs, most likely as well, they're way more inclined to contribute and participate. So maybe if looking at 2 or 3 of them might actually be helpful. I mean, it's still your working group. You have to do what you want, but I think there are already some, and asking people like for small patterns, and we just make a small idea on what that pattern looks like, could be super helpful and easily for us to share, getting people involved. They can file, and we can even just put it on GitHub. I mean, it doesn't need to be like super polished, and then eventually publish it as a GitHub.
Just having some sort of like channel where people can go and see a summary and click, and then if they land in the markdown documents, that GitHub is then gonna represent in the official okay way, then that should be fine. And I like the I guess I call it the small scope, and cookbook style of doing. It's like, all right, you want to do this with this sort of infrastructure and this sort of application on this. here's a way, one of the ways that can happen. I think we just need to find a way of doing that that makes sense and that people would use, I guess.
Yeah, I would try this with the first one, and I think Alex has, and you also have put some examples in the charter, and just take one of those examples that's in there. Like, how can we ensure that when we ship an application config, that the underlying infrastructure matches, and not that we then figure out that we have the wrong storage classes available and the whole app doesn't deploy. It was like one of the examples that's in there. Or how do you manage like update cycles? Like picking one or two and then providing like one cookbook type solutions. I think that's also then easier for people to comment on usually. Like starting from nothing, it's like, what should I do? And if it's, I like to call it like not the best phrase maybe, but create some type of attack surface where people can work against. Like, okay, this is how we do it. And then other people can iterate over it. And maybe Alex has some ideas as well. I would just honestly just give it a try. And not necessarily overthink it. And then we can also discuss it like in this round, what you have done the first one, and then bring people in and share it out. And we can improve over time.
Yeah, and whatever gets submitted through whatever process that is can then get reused and rearranged for whatever we feel is the right way of doing it after trying. So it can be a thing that's kind of just yeah.
Can you all hear me? Is that working? Okay. So I just wanted to mention on that topic, like one of the reasons why I am deep in.
Now we can hear you.
Can't hear you now. You are.
Yeah, you dropped off.
You're on mute.
I think he lost his headset.
Yes.
I hear you.
We can't hear you.
Nothing.
Gosh.
Keeps talking.
Gosh.
It's impossible to disagree with him, though. He makes such a good argument.
No, we cannot hear you.
No.
You
We
can't
are
hear
sure
us.
it's very interesting, but we can't hear it. Sorry.
Sounds really engaging, interesting, but we can't hear.
Yeah.
Recompile. Nice.
Okay, looking at the clock while we wait for Josh. Yeah, maybe you take this away and come back with some ideas on how you want to handle it, and maybe try the first one. I was just looking at the agenda, and obviously, I think James, you were here from the conveyor team, I assume.
Yeah. I was talking to Josh Burkus at Red Hat yesterday. He mentioned that the group got together to kind of review the CNCF sandbox applications, and I think there were some questions about conveyor. So I just want to make sure, like, if there's any information I could give you all. I pasted a demo in there to kind of show you the functionality of what's there. It's like a 45-minute end-to-end demo that you can walk through and see. And we're committed to making everything work on Cube, right, and not being specific to OpenShift. So yeah.
I think that I haven't watched it, but I just read the email from Amy. And I think the main comment was, can this be used with a standard Kubernetes non-OpenShift environment?
Yep. Yeah.
Theory, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, yes, it's not like we're documenting everything for that yet, but we're in process. Like, you could actually, here, I'll put this link in there in the Zoom chat. But I mean, basically, this is Crane's documentation that's being built out, and you'll notice, you can run this. It's not specific to OpenShift. So yeah, the goal is to make this work for Kubernetes and to get all the docs there as well. So.
Yeah, I think then we simply at some point should look at it from or try some of the, if you have any examples or anything which we can try on other clusters. I think that's what the TUC wants us to look at. Just experiment on some other type of clusters. And
yeah. So that 45-minute demo that I put in there, that's all running on Kubernetes. It's not running on OpenShift. Yeah, so you can.
The only thing that I was wondering about conveyor, I mean, I think it's great what you built. You did a presentation a while back. And this is a problem that some other projects that are submitted right now have as well. How would you ever consider this going to graduation? Because it's a set of tools that help you move to Kubernetes, which by design, I think means that it's not really running on, that you don't have that production usage requirement.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of thoughts around that. One is that the modernization of workflows is never really ever done. So as new features are deployed on Kubernetes, you're gonna analyze those again, and then so a good example would be serverless, right? So maybe you move over, you're not leveraging serverless, then you do an analysis with Tackle, and we do some code analysis, and we realize you can actually be taking advantage of serverless. So we then make your app serverless, right? So I think it's like, I mean, app modernization has been happening for 30 years, right? For 70 years, right? So I think like we're trying to think of that it's actually, even though they're a set of tools, we want to eventually make it more of a piece of the platform that continually looks at rehost, replatform, refactoring opportunities for applications. That's one thing. I guess the other one would be, even if it doesn't graduate, being in the sandbox would be helpful because it puts potential contributors at ease at contributing to it, because it's not something that's, even though we have a contribution guide, a governance model and all that, knowing that it's not owned by Red Hat or run by Red Hat, but it's part of the foundation would be helpful. So.
Just to get me right, I'm not really against this project at all. It just came up with other projects as well, like Potato Head being also one of them, which is really about learning app delivery, which I think is valuable, which shouldn't be handled by one organization, because right now I think it's 15 different projects and even more organizations contributing to it. But back then the feedback from the TUC was, we should not allow a project into sandbox that never has the chance to graduate.
Okay.
So thinking of how you can fulfill those requirements for graduation, I think is still valuable, and eventually that is an ongoing discussion with the TUC, how to handle projects like this that add value. And if this requirement just in some cases that doesn't really make sense, or we need to have some freedom of definition here, might make sense there as well. So definitely watch the video. Thank you for sharing this, but just to also keep this in mind, because I don't want to run into endless iterations as you're doing this.
Cool. Thanks for the feedback.
And and maybe also a statement why it makes sense to your point. I mean, if you want to have others contribute, and currently it's hosted by Red Hat, it's not where you necessarily want it to be. And
do you think it would make sense for me to write that up and then just share it with the group, like in writing, like what, some of those areas?
I would at least think the requirement through. I don't think you have to write a full incubation due diligence.
Okay.
But at least, I mean, the requirements are publicly on the website, or if not, just reach out to us to see, okay, how it fits in there.
Yeah.
I'm just preparing you because this might come up again. We had these conversations in the past. To be fair, there are other projects in the CNCF already that cannot graduate, like as we have the GitOps, the Open GitOps project, they also can't really graduate. So we start to have those projects which are focused more on education and collecting resources on a lot of topics. So, and I think that's at some point a conversation for the TUC to have. But I mean, versus, isn't it production usage if there's 15 companies out there that are using it?
Yeah. So I mean, we have of the, I think 800 or 900 people that are subscribed on the mailing list, over half of them are outside of our organization, right? So it's almost 50% on there. We do see usage and things getting picked up by external parties, but it's also tough to tell because it's all upstream and there's no tethering back to us on usage. But yeah.
But also next week we have the TUC. I think it's next week. We have the TUC meeting. Yes, or in 2 weeks. The TUC meeting again. There we will also bring it up. How do we handle these more educational type of projects to bring it back on the TUC agenda as well? Because I think it's a fair chance for your project. I mean, this is just sandbox, and I think if you can make it less look like OpenShift, which should be not that hard. I mean, in all fairness, it always starts somewhere. And if you have the examples on pure Kubernetes, that shouldn't be a big issue there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so all the documentation that's being written now is going upstream first, and it's all running on Kubernetes. And the demo is all there. I think there's some bits and pieces that have some rough edges, like for example, like SSO and things like that, where we're like, okay, we need to make a choice, right, on SSO, even if you're using vanilla Kubernetes and some other things. So, so those things, I think, I agree, those will work out. If there is a separate designation we should pursue that exists, I'm happy to do it. Otherwise, I think the goal is to make this like a day 2 part of the platform, where it's not just point in time, but it's then how do you continue to, evolve your application and refactor it. But yeah, it's good feedback. I will.
Yeah, and for things where you actually, what's also helpful, like in this whole process, to point to, if you have certain items that you're actually working on right now, and you might have this already, everything which you have as GitHub issues or maybe a dedicated project is also super helpful to point people to. I mean, it's fair to say we haven't done anything yet. We are sandbox, like we're early stage, but it is on our roadmap. It is something we're actively working on in a well-documented way. Is always helpful.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try and put those. Do you want me just to like share them with this group once that's done, or like do I email somebody? Do I do it? Just pop it
Depending
like Mark,
on how open you want
I
to keep it, I mean, we can have this discussion. We can have this as a discussion in the Slack channel, or we can have a smaller group with the chairs, whatever you prefer. I mean, if you think that there's something that you want to have in a smaller group, that's fine too. If you think you can have the discussion fully openly, then we can just use the Slack channel.
Sounds good. I will follow up with you. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't want to take too much time on your agenda. I know I kind of just hopped on last minute. So
I think it's important. I just saw it yesterday, and I wasn't wondering. Was wondering as well whether you going to show up here and this time, or whether we should invite you for the next meeting. So I'm glad you could make it today. Good. Cooperative delivery. We had GitOps. Any updates from the GitOps working group that are interesting for the wider audience?
Working on QCon things, I guess. That's the only. That will just be a thing now. Just continue to, yeah. So new planning GitOpsCon Europe 2022. Things are, yeah. I haven't been in those meetings because time, but as far as I can see that Christian Hernandez has started like the process, and he's kind of like taking the lead this time, as were discussed. Someone to actually lead the effort. So he's doing that now, and he's contacted everyone to start that process and updates everyone and stuff. So things are happening there. And besides that, I'm not really sure, to be honest. Chris, do you know?
I mean, I've got some stuff in flight, but it's mainly just administrative, like getting videos out there on the web, that kind of thing. But yeah, like I just got the email yesterday setting up the program committee for GitOpsCon 2022. Here we go again.
As soon
Where
as
is it gonna be?
It's in Valencia.
Ah, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we're also looking into having an app delivery related pre-QCon day, like on the wider app delivery related topics. We didn't hear yet back from the CNCF, but the plan was to also like make it a bit wider as well, like cover like the chaos topics and like lots of the works that other projects are doing.
I really want to try to get to Valencia. So if things are happening, with those kind of events, I can help with stuff. Hopefully, maybe. So I'm trying to get there physically. We'll see. I can't promise anything because the world is working against us.
Yeah, let's hope the best. But the plan is to also like do this, and I'll obviously come back to people once we hear. But the idea is to have a wider app delivery scope conference, also with best practices. A couple of other talks, like other tags are doing it as well. We have now obviously lots more content that we can use. Also with the ongoing work on chaos, cooperative delivery related topics that we're working on. Obviously, we'll also factor in GitOps, but as you most likely will have your own GitOps day on top, I think it makes sense to have some of at least like one specific session on this one there as well.
Yeah, and again, if I'm there, I could do that as well, depending on what type of content on GitHub. So if it's just update what's going on in GitHub's working group, I can work with everyone involved and get something done and present it, because if I'm there, that should work. Again, this is in May, so
May, yeah.
I have no clue what's going to happen before that time.
Okay, there was some conversation from Josh on the side, who I think was writing with us because he can speak to us, but he's hearing
I
us.
could try. I am
Okay.
hearing now.
Hey, there
You
you
hear
go.
me? It's something
Yeah.
with this. There's a new Bluetooth headset, so something has been going back and forth. It's nothing major. It just was what I was saying before about Potato Head. That I hope we can use that for the infrastructure stuff. And yeah, so side chat, nothing major.
I think we should. And also for the issues, I think we can reach out to others using it as a demo app. By the way, the thing, but it was initially the plan for the Potato Head demo application as well, that we currently did not put in there yet, is also complex scenarios that are usually not handled by demo apps, because they mostly focus on how can I write a microservice type of applications. If you look at Shop and all the other variants that are out there. So one idea was, how can I update something that is a stateful workload? Like having a stateful workload, how do I handle this? Can I update something that requires multiple secrets at different stages that I'm trying to update these, like also like in these scenarios. But that was also one of the ideas we had initially when we wanted to move it forward, not just focus on, hey, I'll show you how to build a distributed app, because that's one thing, but really focus on app delivery challenges that people are confronted with. Like how to update the data.
Okay, maybe it would be worth opening and we should have like a scenario kind of issue. Like, here's the scenario I propose. Can somebody, put this together, like stateful app or migrating from a monolith or something like that?
Yeah, that might also be maybe something for the team on cooperative delivery. If you think about complex deployment scenarios on Kubernetes, that would require some best practices. I think it's helpful.
Yeah, I think those kind of things also is something that might come out of like the survey. If you try to have questions that also ask like what is the problem? Do you have a problem? Not that question in particular, but it doesn't lead anywhere. But it's something equal to that, so we can get to see what like kind of pain points people have when it comes to these things. Hopefully that might help also, set the direction a little bit.
Okay, I think that brings us pretty much, I think, to the end of the agenda today for the small round. Okay, so for the next meeting then, Josh, I think by then you have fixed maybe a Bluetooth headset. We can have a bit more of a deep dive on Potato Head. Yeah, always the person with the tech problems gets hit on. So sorry, no thank you.
That'll be, yeah, that's great. I'll be all ready. We got like 3 weeks to our next meeting. So
yeah, and Robert, is the survey done by then? So could we also have like the first survey results by then? Do you think
well, maybe not survey results. It depends on how quick we can get that out and who. So I have no clue how that's going to work yet. But at least done, like the questions and everything like that should be done by then, unless something really bad happens.
Robert, do we know how to send out the survey? Alois, do we need your help to connect with CNCF folks to get that out?
Service desk is usually the answer.
Yeah.
And you know that stuff, Robert?
No, and that's also a thing that Scott kind of also helped me with at the moment.
Yeah, just keep in mind a lot of tags and projects want to engage with the end user community. And they might be deliberately throttling a bit so that people don't get 10 surveys a week.
Yes.
So that might then also take a bit. So if I think as soon as we have something, like also sharing it in our own social channels and starting a discussion around what we find might be the quicker way to actually do this.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I brought out to Thomas, and I guess he took it along to you, the fact that, you know, they're Tag App Delivery, Twitter, and things like that. Like, how many social media channels do we have to be able to get this out, and who do we contact and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there is currently no tag that has their own Twitter channel. And even if we would start it right now, it wouldn't have a lot of followers.
Mm.
But I think the team here has to CNCF overall will easily retweet it. I think that's the lower friction type of approach and moving this forward.
Yeah.
Simply because an official survey sent out to all the CNCF members is a bit more of obviously overhead and needs a bit more coordination, while on the other one we could get, say, a bit more.
So if
moving quicker.
So if we got like the survey out and got it kind of like unofficially spammed out across channels, and then maybe later CNCF would boost that at the end to just get like the, you know, so they can, you know, paste things out as they wish, but still we kind of get some results in and see that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to make it scientifically complete. This is just really getting pulse of the community out there, what they're working on, and what might be helpful for them. And I think we can do that. Can you maybe share it also on the Slack channel with people, the survey questions, so people just can get some feedback on it?
Yes, I will. I have that on my to-do list, so that would happen hopefully before the weekend, because how things are these days. I'll get that done.
But that, yeah, then we can also share it with some people, and then maybe start really pushing it out next week. And then we can share findings as we go, and then more people can contribute. You can see this. Now something as we would say, well, you have to submit to the survey in the next 1 to 2 weeks. But as we have like the first results coming in, people may be contributing as we go.
Yeah.
I just found surveys, they sound so easy to do, but turn out to be so hard because everybody wants to do surveys, and people are just, nah, not yet another survey that I want to do.
Yeah, that's that's unfortunately, but I'll try to get something specifically done and get some feedback on the questions at least before something gets, I guess, put into a form of any sort. So we all agree that these are questions that we want answered or not.
Yeah, to me it's like I understand that the survey itself like sometimes doesn't get much engagement, but like just knowing, like agreed, like what are we wanting to know helps, like with like proactively, you know, getting, like trying to get the information, getting help, like I can speak to, you know, we can get the information. So it would be easier for me to just to understand how, like, what everyone is agreeing on.
Cool, James.
Definitely interesting and might result in a nice white paper, maybe because you already have it, James, as opposed to in the chat that you do the app modernization piece.
Yeah. I think we surveyed like several. We have a firm going out, research firm, external research firm. I think it's 400, 500. It's all speaking because of budget reasons, but it was like US, UKI, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, a couple other countries with a sample size of like 400, 500 enterprises. And it was kind of asking like rehost, replatform, refactor kind of questions, like what are you thinking about doing in these areas? What percentage of your workloads do you think fall in this, like, you know, frameworks and languages you're using on top of Kubernetes, those sorts of things. So I'd be happy to share it. And that's actually, we're planning on having it done in January, and then just branding it with Conveyor. And then if we have like the CNCF thing, we put that in there too to kind of promote, I think, the dual brands. So, but happy to collaborate with you all on that if it helps.
Yeah, would be interesting to see at least.
Okay, I think that we have some action items here, and James, we just take that further feedback from the TUC and follow up on it. Again, my pointers are just helpful thinking, because I don't want you to go in circles like the next time the next question comes up, that it's, I think, well prepared.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
And yeah, I think that brings us to the to the end for today. Again, next time, Josh, you're all on Potato Head updates. Robert, maybe we might have already some feedback on scenarios that we could use.
Maybe, hopefully.
And also we need to get the Chaos folks engaged again.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
James, but that works over time, Potato Head. Have you seen Potato Head actually?
Yeah, Potato Head is it's a great name. Except the spell checker keeps on changing it to potato. But you know, besides that, it's
You gotta
yeah,
add it to
because
your dictionary.
somebody has a copyright on the Potato Head.
ah.
Oh, tell us soon, Josh. You better be careful.
Right. Eloise, you came up with the name, I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting story how I came up with the name.
Yeah, you don't want to violate trademarks. Just ask the KubernetesByExample.com website.
Yeah, but in this case, we're not really violating any trademarks. But it's always great to see it on Twitter as well. By the way, for those who haven't seen it yet, this is the Potato Head.
It's beautiful.
Nice.
And obviously all the arms and the feet are obviously microservices. So I think it's the Potato Head is like more or less the children's version of how to explain microservices to them. Like each of them has a specific responsibility, but they all work together and you can exchange them. You can even show blue-green deployments, as you can see here with the legs, which are actually blue-green deployed in this case.
It's good for children and explaining it to executives, right? That's the
yes, that's how you can.
That's the same thing, right?
You're on record here. Just be careful. No, but it's a helpful, fun. It's a helpful and fun way to use it. And I mean, one of the design goals was as well to make this small enough that people can run it on a small kind cluster on their laptops, because that's especially feedback we got from people who want to learn something. They say, well, I know I can have like some free cluster credits, but then I need to do it. And I'm a student, I want to learn it. If it runs on my laptops, and they need obviously also resources for other tooling out there. So the reason why it's a stupidly simple Go program is not just due to my programming skills. It's just, it should be like really, really, really small so that people can run it pretty much everywhere. So technically, I think you can run the Potato Head on a Raspberry Pi.
It doesn't use any dependent infrastructure. I mean, other than Kubernetes itself, it's just, and that, but it's interesting that you just brought that up, because if I start trying to add in databases and queues and other things, I'm going to make sure that it doesn't get in the way of that. At least it's just optional or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then I'm giving you ending the meeting 6 minutes early, which hopefully gives you time to grab a coffee or do whatever you want to do with 6 minutes. We all spend too much time in meetings anyways. And glad seeing all of you. Also the new people showing up here. And hopefully talk to you soon in 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks.
Good. See you later, everyone.